with Jace and Ezreal. So if you're not on the objective first, you can kind of force your way in. If you can chip away at those frontline health bars a little bit, the immobile Jhin as well is going to be a great target to, you know, layer CC their terms a lot of the time. Killing the AD carry or mid laner first in a fight is a little bit trickier, but front to backing, I think that's something they could definitely look for.
This is a very long way to eventually land onto aiming. Dr. is looking a little worse for wear though, but so is Beryl.
Beryl taking some hits here for sure. Does have aftershock, but that's not proc. Ooh,
there's a flash to get out of the way of the Shattering Strike. Peter really putting the fear of God into him right now. Not going to be able to back now, but also may not survive. As this cannon, that's going to go to the wayside. It's already a disaster as Peter comes in, looks for something here, wants to boot back perfect, but he didn't pick up turret aggro. Finally, he does, and there's the shot plus. He gets the trade back. It's still a full wave that is going to only go to Beryl, maybe Lucid as well, as they're looking for a bit of an angle. Beryl wishing that he had his flash available still. But still, Arctic Assault going to come in. No heroic charge stun as Dr. able to flash out of the way as the stun didn't actually come in. No connection with the... So still going okay. Could have been way worse. As now we've got a little bit of a face-off. Lucid moves on in, able to get himself out of there as well. As you can see, 3v3 for now. Yeah. Mid lane is moving up.
Xiu does have teleport, but I don't think he's interested in joining this fight. Dplus have enough control here. And, you know, you can see Showmaker looking for an angle.
Deadly Flourish comes down, aiming, able to Arcane Shift to avoid the stun, but Lucid still has to flash. And that should be 2 grubs going over to KT in this
as we expected. Had a lane swap come through here with that dive, but they were able to match.
Oh, there's the flash forward, and that's a very dead BDD. Nowhere he could go. Sometimes Flash Room Prison is all you need.
Jungler takes the kill, but you're okay with it because best friends, and it's fine.
Well, Beryl looking for a bit of an angle. That's a lot of Q damage, actually. Wasn't expecting that. As now Peter being pretty thankful here for the aftershock.
It's not just 6 to 5, but a full level, and they'll get the dragon here as well.
And Beryl is also level 6, so it's not that aiming has been left alone. It's that Dr. hasn't been there to pick up CS.
And a potential dive. They're very aware. I mean, they're utilizing the vision they have so incredibly quickly. Dr. 1v1?
Yeah, not having a great time into the Poppy here. True Shot Barrage also going to be helping out, but here on the top side of the map, Lucid has made his way in and loses a bunch of his health bar. Xiu trying to deal with the wave as best he can, and that is going to work out as Showmaker turns up with the Realm Warp, and Peter is the one that takes the prison there, as Peter does have to flash to get himself out of the way as well. Xiu wanting to take that pot shot as the 3 bullets from that empowered auto attack not quite going to work out to be reactive, and that was the top side of the map and where they can play aggressively, which is absolutely this bottom side. Lucid able to take away one of the grubs, is actually okay with giving away the remaining 2 by the looks of things.
I mean, with Showmaker having prio as well for so much of this game, he's got a ton of agency, and punishing an Ezreal is just so much harder than punishing a Jace, so the Jace is the option they go for, and then it's backfiring twice, and that's going to be the whole turret here. First turret as well for Feats of Strength, going over to Dplus, and it's suddenly a 1,200 gold lead. Yeah, solo gold, and he's 40 CS up.
Man, this is a big aiming Ezreal problem. The KT how much damage to this turret, as Beryl does have access to his steadfast presence, but he can't press it. There's a Magnus Storm from Peter as well, as Beryl's in trouble. He's just trying to walk it off, and it's going to work out, and never mind. BDD says, I'm flashing for it, picks that one up. Wild. Yeah, is what it kind of feels like, but it does stack up once you complete the item pretty quickly. First Drake going to be going over to DK here as the Rise.
Absolutely.
And now has, Magnus Storm to deal with, as Cuz is moving on in. Beryl says, no, you're moving on out. As it turns out.
Gank on the Xiu as Lucid's looking for play.
Oh dear. Aiming, picks up turret aggro for a moment. But it looks like DK are just happy to take this turret instead of killing Dr. It's not something they're going to be able to do with Cuz in the vicinity unless... Well, never mind. Aiming just does a lot of damage, and he is able to take this one down.
That's only... I mean, this is just... The spikes are coming.
Ooh, Showmaker, good sidestep on the Wind Becomes Lightning, but I don't know whether that's going to exactly keep him safe. True Shot Barrage going a completely different direction, and that is BDD picking up a second. Nice play from KT.
That's a good angle. You know, you end up isolating one target, take them down. Now you can look for this 4v5 mid instead.
Ooh, certainly a possibility is perfect. Not going to get stunned up this time. Beryl trying to move him out of the way, but Peter is here once again. DK, they were looking to try and trade for something, and Lucid also realizing that they don't quite have as many members up here as they otherwise would. 10 seconds left on Showmaker as Beryl getting rid of the Jhin, but Cuz is still there with the smite to get himself out. Showmaker and Beryl pushing here in this top lane. Heroic charge pushes Perfect towards Showmaker, and Beryl is the one taking the damage. The slow is good from Showmaker, and Beryl with a nice flash, but that's a 1v2. And Perfect is doing really well. KT going to take this opportunity now as Aiming says, no, sorry, buddy, you are dead.
I love that. They hard commit to the cross map. You know, the first attempt on the cross map, well, they give Dragon, not so great. Second attempt there with Aiming coming over is going to guarantee them the kill and that
Very happy
with this exchange.
And we've got the evolution now for Aiming. Does complete that Mirror Manor as Beryl is under a little bit of fire here. The curtains have been called as well as the Magnet Storm pulls him out. Oh, the last bullet, and Doctor's finally on the board. They take down the Poppy, but are they out of the woods? That's the question. Peter's in so much trouble. Arctic Assault going to connect, and Aiming, yeah, he's got enough damage. Arcane Shift over and gets the auto into the air. Oh, this is not great either. As Arakan is just going to be taken here by DK. Looks like KT, not a lot of options to get up here. So that is just going to be it secured. A whole bunch of flowers on the floor. That is going to stop any sort of charge. Should be able to keep this turret alive. Still only that one turret is perfect. He is in the mist, but there is the ulti from Beryl. Might still be a sacrifice of the Poppy, and there is the first bullet to lock that one down. Cuz with his ulti is also really helping him stay alive. Oh, never mind, he's not staying alive at all. Showmaker says no to that. As there's a charge on the Rift Herald, Peter comes back. BDD locks down a kill. Peter does sacrifice himself, but BDD is doing so much damage. Aiming 1 versus 3, is that going to work? I don't know about it.
Yeah. It's still sitting at half health.
Yeah, and of course, because he drove it into a wall, it's not going to be doing any charging, but I think it was good use of it, as that's a solo kill. Perfect just lying on the floor.
Yeah.
Huh. Not quite what Gwen is supposed to be doing, is Arctic Assault. There's Permafrost as well, as Cuz taking a fair bit of damage. Holds onto the ult button. Eats some honey fruit, he'll be fine.
Right now, Shiu is just bored. He's like doing Gromp because there's nothing to take. He's got a whole... Wow, look at the discipline.
He doesn't. What is...
Look at the discipline.
My boy's grown up. Showmaker, he might though. There's a Magnet Storm from Peter. Shattering Strike's beautiful. And there's nothing Showmaker can do. He does a fair bit of damage on his way out, but now Lucid is the one in trouble. He's gonna have to try and get an Arctic Assault, but it does not work. He's just held in place, and that is 2 beautiful kills from KT. Now, they might be able to get themselves a Baron.
She was gonna try to rush to get this inhibitor turret. Teleport coming through from the Gwen as well, straight to the Baron.
The Baron
might get this
for
inhibitor.
Nexus.
Yeah, and I mean, Aiming, getting that push in mid as well. So yes, you did get the Baron, but it took so long to do so that the value is just arguably even better here for Dplus. Barrel's looking for some shenanigans.
There's a Keeper's Verdict around here. He's not going to use it. That is bounty gold, though, going over to KT.
Stop some of these backs though and deny them from returning.
2 inhibitors should be the sacrifice here, as there's the Keeper's Verdict, but Gwen is immune. And that is going to be the kill going over to Cuz, Aiming on for the price of a Baron.
They just really snap called that. The second the pick came through from the party bush, they were like, all right, we just push for the inhibs. That was such a great decisive call from Dplus. Now, let's see if the punish comes through.
Oh, well, shoot. He's done this one before. As Perfect. In the mist right now, Showmaker's moved down, does still have the Realm Warp. Man, if they want this fight, they could take it.
Once again, is the biggest member on KT Rolster. Shocker, I know.
Well, steadfast presence there from Beryl. We do have a Glacial Prison going wide here, and that spells the end of the Poppy, but still, look at this AoE. This is absurd from Showmaker. The needlework not quite doing enough as the teleport from Shiu says, Peter, there is no way out. Cuz is flashing, but Shiu's diving on top of him. Perfect there as well, the flash forward, and there's the Realm Warp to make sure that this Gwen is dead. Aiming not going to be helping out here as Showmaker moves on over, finds the Rune Prison, and should be able to get the combo off. Oh, not quite able to get in there as BDD just kills Aiming. That's what that death cap is for, apparently, and Showmaker, you don't need to tank 2 Nexus turrets.
Yeah,
buddy,
no.
That's not what you need to do.
Not necessary to me.
Donde?
Oh no.
Yeah. 3,000 gold the lead for DK. The Rebel Baron power play was about 2.5k. Is now Beryl going to get engaged on yet again. Perfect. Can't be milling about taking free damage though, as you can see. Oh, these Mystic shots really do hurt. Shiu clears out the ward. as BDD gets over that wall.
I mean, BDD and Peter can shape this fight if they can get grouped here. She was trying to block BDD from the flank. He's going to have to wrap all the way around to the front.
Yeah, remember this is Ocean Soul as well. Lucid looking for an angle to try and get himself in there. And Showmaker says, well, maybe we'll just win the game instead. Could be the angle, and that is going to be the soul picked up by Lucid. Good smite as Peter pulls him back. He's not going to be able to get away scot-free, as DK might just use this as an opportunity to win the game, but Perfect gets his teleport off and will be able to get himself out of there. Deadly Flourish doesn't connect onto Beryl as the Shock Blast are coming in. That's an aggressive teleport there, Mr. Showmaker, as Cuz is also going to be going down. There are different ways to engage. That is one of them. Not sure whether it's the best, but it's working out. Aiming, going to get his revenge, or at least Beryl is, as he gets chunked by that one. 4 items completed for the Ezreal is real scary. Beryl, don't know about this position as the rest of KT crash in on top of him, mainly Peter because he has an ability that he's kind of called that. Curtain calls come in. That is a 6th kill for Dom.
I think Dplus can team fight. They just really don't want
there as the Deadly Flourish comes in. They're taking a fair bit of damage. Cuz down to 50%. Teleport in from Shio as they're looking for the team fight now. Cuz with that ulti running is so durable, and now Shio dives in. My God, the AoE is absurd. Perfect goes golden, but that means that he just has to watch as the rest of his team dies. It's an ace in trade for Lucid, and DK are going to realm warp their way to the base.
You know, a bit of an anticlimactic end for what looked like KT may have been able to finally find some semblance of footing in this game. It was a nice try. It was a good ult from Cuz, but they're unable to secure the Baron. They look for the ensuing team fight, and they do not get it done. And as these waves come through, Dplus will finally, at 33 or 34 and a half minutes, end this game. A little bit of happy gaming there towards the early part of the late game, but Dplus still get it done. Beautiful macro game from Lucid and Beryl, to be totally honest, just outclassing KT in the early game and building such a phenomenal lead.
Champions, but Nautilus going to be locked away as well. We've seen Nautilus Kai'Sa many, many times in the past.
So much easier to lock down the Tristana with the Nautilus than it would be with the Leona, even though Leona is super good into Rakan and suits the dive style composition that they have. The Nautilus just presses R and can lock down the Rakan as well. If he's looking for an engage, might not be able to get his way out. And can just be good into Rakan in general if you can hit those roots onto him. I like what KT Rolster put together. Doing a whole lot of popping off thus far.
Yep.
But, you know, I agree with Chronicler's assessment of Game 1. It was not his fault. It was really just his team left him on an island, and it was an unfavorable position for Jhin to be in, and he struggled.
Yeah, it is kind of, and it was DK that kind of revolutionized it, right? Put a Jhin in the bottom lane, and he will cope. Ghost dealt with that as Beryl's flashing in, looking for some opportunities here. We're seeing the win rate here of the Kai'Sa is looking pretty huge.
But grab the cull. And aiming.
Okay, yeah, in goes Dom. Hook going to miss there from Beryl as Peter picks up a turret shot, so not exactly optimal on that front. Beryl going to have that dredge line up. There it is. And able to hook up Dom, who rocket jumps his way out. And the trade going to be won here by DK in the end. But I like the gusto from KT. Invest nothing when it comes to the summoner spells, as casting taking a lot of damage here. We'll have Mega Gnar coming up relatively soon as BDD's turned up, and that should be aiming going down. The Ignite ticking, and Dom grabbing first blood in the top lane.
That's kind of peculiar. I have to go back and look and see how he just got up there. I mean, he didn't Weaver's wall his way in there. He just dropped the wave for a second, went up. As down here, I think aiming just didn't expect this. He went all the way around. He had that control ward in the brush. Actually wraps all the way around here, and Peter is ready for it, and Dom is in there to sweep up and grab the kill. Fantastic play there.
Because you move so much faster as Lucid. He's going to get punched, going to need to jump his way out. And Cuz just going to, I really don't like it when the doggos get punched by Vi. It just feels very violent.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. Still, Grubs are now going to spawn. DK
they're setting him up for success this time when they abandoned him last time.
Yeah, he's just rocket jumping forward, straight into Beryl, which is suboptimal, I guess. Gets the flash out, though, as Peter goes in with the grand entrance, and BDD, as always, is ready. Great buffer there on the dredge. Take a crab for himself.
6 for Lucid.
Rotating over. Yeah, does manage to get that level 6 as Beryl. We're going to start up this fight. Let's see whether they can get in there. Charm is going to connect beautifully onto this Tristana, and Showmaker is right there for when he lands. Looking for a double here as the flash comes forward. It's actually the bleed that takes down the Rakan. Both of the bottom lane members are dead, and they only have to sacrifice Beryl. They'll even take more Grubs.
Actually offer any damage there, just engaged on right away.
Oh.
Speaking of.
Oh dear. We know that there is a Big Daddy from Bioshock.
And he hits it.
And then the Killer Instinct is going to be up and available, and so just a concussive blows. There it is. Aiming doesn't even need the Killer Instinct, and now he's going to use it. Does miss the Void Seeker, but gets the passive though, as the hook is going to go wide, and Doctarm does get himself out, but did have to invest the Buster Shot in that play.
Close call there, potentially.
Oh dear. There is a big ol' Gnar thrown out here by Casting. Misses the wallop and misses the statue. Shout out to Cuvée there, as we are seeing his skin utilized often its houses.
Can't do anything, but an Aatrox is just sitting even with a decent amount of setup, and the comp can actually be a huge threat later on. Dplus just don't have any control here though, and this is just going to be the Grubs going over to KT Rolster, and because they have so much damage here, Cuz can hold his smite, should be able to guarantee all 3.
Yeah, Lucid might be able to get in there to try and go for a smite steal, but that is probably certain death. Want this to happen. Casting holding onto his teleport for the moment. We need to get Lucid in here to go for the smite, but it is going to be the Vi locking it down. Already though, Cuz is getting very, very low. Great knockback as Xiu going bananas. Gets over that wall as they take down the Tristana. BDD just trying to create the space for himself to be able to throw around these rocks, and he does do so. The rest of DK getting very low, but you can see 4 versus 3 in the flash forward from this young top laner. Lucid diving on in as BDD does create the room to get him out of there with a seismic shove, but Peter and BDD are running the wrong direction. Xiu umbrally dashing towards this Rakan, and BDD gonna have to ride a wall to get out. That turret shot not quite enough.
We're going to contest that they could kind of just sit on the laurels there and be like, BDD puts rocks up, they won't commit, surely.
Yeah.
But Dplus commits to those.
And when they saw Showmaker's teleport, they needed to get Casting teleporting in. But I think he was building Nabar as the Charm is going to connect here on a BDD. He has the Seraph Shield, but he doesn't have the Seismic Shove. And Showmaker, with this extra little portion of Essence, should be able to take down the Talia. Does do so. And now DK with so much extra tempo on this map, they'll be able to get the Herald, but can they get even more? As Casting is at least trying to grab this turret as an answer.
I mean, Showmaker, he gets that kill. He has 10 Dark Seal.
This is going to be feats of strength, though, over to KT.
And then you see all these wards in their jungle, and the entry points for BDD to make a play, for Peter to look for a flank, just becomes so much more challenging. That this is where the comp that otherwise can play well from behind struggles without vision. Herald is dropped here, and a mid-turret will likely drop with it.
We'll see whether they do actually manage to take it down. This charge is not quite going to be enough.
Yeah, they don't commit further.
Way down, and now DK looking to collapse, looking for the angle. Charm going to connect onto Peter, but he's able to battle dance towards his teammates. Not an optimal target there to hit with the CC because he's so maneuverable. Actually take down this Aatrox, so that was their shot that they took.
And nobody's doing the dragon either, so they don't get the dragon off of this huge advantage they had
no, Forbidden Book is now completed here for Showmaker. He'll use that to help take down this outer turret in the mid lane after already securing the top lane. And Cuz is now going to get depth charge. There's the hook to line it up, and the pile in from everyone on DK is the only thing that KT can really lean on here, because they're not going to be losing soul. As Cuz diving forward was looking for that barrel angle like you were talking about. He's trying to taxi his way through. The rest of DK unable to collapse in time though, and they just lose their Nautilus. Showmaker level 16 there towards the top side, now looking for a bit of a reset himself, as Casting looking for an angle but doesn't get the wallop. Does get the Gnar into the wall though, as Xiu still, there's a wall coming down, and with the World Ender, I think Xiu should have the movement speed to try and get out, but you can see the rest of KT are now collapsing on the situation.
Showmaker's
is moving in, Yeri, you're exactly right. Can Xiu survive for long enough? That's the question, as he gets stunned up by the rocks and will get taken down. 4 members going to be enough. Pushed all the way towards the top side.
This is dire. This is very dire.
Yeah, Beryl, no Hex Splash, does have his Flash available, as Cuz is going to find Beryl as the Baron does spawn. Showmaker, though, has found the angle, and Beryl was a bait all along. It's Lucid that takes down the enemy jungler. Xiu could be in trouble here, though, as he does have the shield, but it's not quite enough. Peter going to be taken down as the Dog's getting these resets, and Doctarm out of position and destroyed. That should be an Otacon. That should also be a Baron, and DK not messing around in game 2 today.
Yeah, Beryl looked like a juicy target there. They thought that Dplus had backed away further, but they were still close enough to turn on a dime. Xiu shows up with a teleport, and despite dying, absorbs so much pressure, heals so much, shields himself.
Oh, casting, looking for a bit of an angle, but he just splits the Red Sea here as the hook does come forward. Beryl, happy to sacrifice his life as the Baron is going to be taken here by the Nefiri. And they can get themselves over the wall here. Beryl actually can't. Casting could possibly have a bit of an angle. Looks for a boomerang, but does not get it.
I mean, that will deny the Otacon, so small victory here again for KT.
Yeah,
wait
gonna have to try and get in here and go for a steal. Doesn't manage to get it, and that's Cuz grabbing Soul Point, I believe.
It is.
For KT, there it is.
Yeah, and that means that, you know, 8,000 gold behind if they can do it one more time. There's a real good chance they can win some later team fights. You know, unfortunately though, the stacks in the Death Note are reaching maximum very quickly.
Oh man, that's 18.
18 he's on right now.
The wrap around here from the Aatrox is so scary. Beryl just careens over the top of KT and then finds the flash hook onto BDD. The seismic shove is good, but it's onto the Aatrox, and they all just pile in on top of this Tristana. No option at all there as Peter looking to try and get out, but he's not going to. Double already here for aiming, and it's also a double for Shiu, the young player, an absolute monster in this game. Cuz nowhere to go. Outside of into the Raptor pit, where Lucid is just going to dive on over. I think they may let Vi live for now, but I don't know whether the same thing can be said for the Nexus.
Otacon buffs.
Yep. No Baron, remember?
Yeah.
That's worn off a little while ago. As Beryl is moving in, he wants to take down Cuz. Shiu just over the wall, but Anchor is just going to barely go wide. And the rest of DK now find themselves in an awkward spot. Great double knockup from Peter as the recalls are coming through for both support and top lane. A third one now is KT. They're looking for their opportunity. The Weaver's Wall comes in. Lucid's the one that's now in trouble, has to go untargetable, gets over the wall. But DK, that was a slight overstep.
Yeah,
I would agree. Dr. Ahmet, 3 items, has a cheeky Vamp Scepter as well, but this is going to be denial. Of course, KT not too worried about a second Hextech Dragon.
Are they going to make the same mistake twice and engage on that Aatrox? That's the question.
Yeah, Peter avoiding a bunch of skill shots here. Maybe there's an angle as there's the quickness, dives in. They do get the Gnar onto 2. The health bars are just lasting for so long though as Dr. Ahmet gets knocked up. The Charm is going to connect and they take down the Tristana. Shiu says goodbye to BDD. And Lucid on a nice angle here, dives on top of Cuz, predicts the Vault Breaker, and casting nowhere to go. Mid-game, DK just looking so much better, and in comparison to their first outing here for the LCK for 2025, this was way cleaner for Dplus KIA. Showmaker going golden, having one of his best RE performances.